Hello everybody and welcome to my lesson on margin, padding, and CSS selectors. So I've already built out most of the code we need for the essence of time, including a div, 3 paragraphs, and 2 spans inside them, and I've added classes and IDs. So let's get started. So the first selector we have sitting here is the global selector. Anything you put in this is going to affect everything on your page, no matter what it is, as long as there isn't already something else going over it. In this case, we can see I've already done an HTML tag that points to all of the stuff inside these two tags right here, simply for cleanliness. So if we go and comment this back out, we'll see another border pop up that has everything inside of it. It's basically the entire page. So let's uncomment this again, and see now the border will go away. Now if we comment out the global tag, which means we don't need this tag, and then we uncomment this div tag, we're going to have one box pop up that's simply the div. So we'll uncomment this, and this is just everything inside this div. In fact, if we want, we can come over here and hit Option Command and I on a Mac. Click this little pointer if you're in Google Chrome, and you can see the div highlights and the borders going all around the div. Now another thing we could do, since this div tag is pointing at just a div, we can point at just every p tag. So this will highlight a box around all three of these. So come over here, comment that, and now there's a box around all three of the paragraphs. If we comment this back out, simply for cleanliness, we can see that. Now there's just 3 boxes, a box around each paragraph. You can do the same with spans. One sec. I'm sorry, I hit the wrong button. Spans. There we go. And then we'll comment the paragraph back out. And we'll comment these out for now because we'll get to that in a second. Yeah, you can do the same with spans. Now both of our span tags that we have here and here, respectively, now have a box around them. Now on the essence of padding and margin, the best metaphor, I guess you could say, that I have thought of over my time coding is think of like a room. Padding is, so you have a floor, and padding is going to be basically adding on to the size of the room, and the content is on your floor. So if you think of like how your floor goes all the way to the walls, but you can't use all of it because you have baseboards, if we uncomment this padding, and we'll comment back out the margin real quick, see how there's this extra space around the box? Now if we comment this again, see how the box is right on top of it? So basically the content is on the floor of our room, so per se, but you can't reach all the way to the wall because it has little space or boards around it. If we come over here, we can click on this and see this. Padding is the green box. Everything can't go in this green box that's inside the box. Margin is more like thinking of the walls between rooms. So if we uncomment it, we'll see how the two sentences just got farther away from the box. If we comment it back out, they'll get back on top of the box again because it doesn't have that margin there anymore. And if we go back to our dev tools again, we can click on it or hover over it even and see the orange bars, nothing can go inside it. That's what margin's doing. Now, we've already gone over selecting just an element, just every tag of that element. So now we can go into children. So say we want all the P's inside the div, but we don't want anything that's not inside a div. We can just uncomment this, and all the paragraph tags that are inside a div will get a box around it. The same for spans. If we want just span tags that are inside paragraphs, which generally spans are inside paragraphs, but if you want just span tags that are inside paragraphs, you can do just a paragraph span, and that'll select every single span that's inside a paragraph in your whole document. Or if we want to get really exact, which in CSS, the more exact you are, the better off you are, you can do every paragraph tag inside of a div and every span inside the paragraph tag. So what you're really saying is every span inside a paragraph inside a div. We uncomment this. It's every div, or every span, sorry, inside a paragraph inside a div. Now another way you can select things is by simply class or ID. So if we come over to our index.html, we can see here that I've added some classes and some IDs to these paragraphs and this span specifically. So uncommenting this code is going to select every paragraph-main class on a paragraph tag, which in this case is all three of them. So this will do the same exact thing as this, it's just more exact. Maybe there's other paragraph tags in our document we don't want to select. So see, now everything has a box. If we come over here to back to our document, if I add a random paragraph, hello, I'm another paragraph, it doesn't have that class, so it's not going to get selected. Another thing we can do is an ID, which uses the #. Classes use dots or periods. So the ID of span and paragraph I put only on this span. So when we go to uncomment it, just this one span is going to get a box around it, not this one. So we'll uncomment that real quick. See, just this one span. Because it's an ID, which you want to use to select one thing. Classes you can put on multiple. IDs you want to keep to one. Another example of that is I put an ID of paragraph 1 on the first paragraph, paragraph 2 on the other one. So if we do just this one, just for sake of time, it'll just put a box around the first paragraph. Alright, moving on. You can also select things that have multiple classes and only have those multiple classes. So if you have an item that has 3 or 4 classes on it, and it shares classes with other items, and you want just that item, just select the 3 and 4 classes. So like in this case, this does just the first 2 paragraphs like the class says, and not the last 2, because just the first 2 have both classes. The last one doesn't have any because we just added it. And the third one only has the paragraph main and not the first 2 paragraphs. Another thing you can do is you can select multiple items. So in this case, we're going to select just the first 2 paragraphs, but we're also going to select the span specifically with the ID of span and paragraph because it has that ID. So come over here, see the ID span and paragraph. And now you have the little box here. Now if you wanted to be more exact, you could do span with the ID of span and paragraph, and paragraph with the class first 2 paragraphs, instead of just doing the class and ID. because sometimes you'll have classes on multiple things and they're not necessarily all the same tag. IDs, you shouldn't run into that because, again, IDs are really meant for only one item, but it never hurts. The more exact you are, the safer it is that your CSS isn't going to get randomly messed up because of another line of code you did in your CSS. The other option is to simply select multiple things with the same selector. So like in this case, we're going to select the div and all the paragraphs using the comma. So see, now we have our div has a box and all the paragraphs have a box, but the spans don't because we didn't select them. If we want to select the spans, just do a comma and add span. Now the spans have them. Or if we wanted to do a specific thing, a comma, and then we'll do the ID, span, and paragraph. And now this span has it, and this span doesn't because this one has the ID, and we selected everything but these two things, basically. Well, this one's selected because it's a paragraph, but and another option we could do is just selecting multiple different IDs. It's basically the same as this, but it's more exact. So this is going to do the span and paragraph, paragraph 2, and paragraph 3, but not the div, the first paragraph, or the last one we just added. See? Alright, that has been my quick, slightly long lesson on basic CSS selectors and a little metaphor on margin and padding to help anybody that needs help with that. If you have more questions, feel free to reach out, and there's a lot more you can go into, especially considering like CSS pseudo classes that I will gladly make a video for if anyone needs. Thank you and have a nice day.